So that didn't age well. Just a few uploads ago, BC praising Tony Khan and AEW for not stepping aside to the big bad bully WWE, right? Tony Khan picks a date for one of his biggest pay-per-views, All Out. He's focusing on that pay-per-view. He's focusing on his company, and WWE comes along and out of nowhere, like an RKO, just picks a pay-per-view out of thin air. Rushes their agreement with ESPN in that debut for September 20th. Comes up with a pay-per-view out of nowhere, September 20th, right up against All Out, and tells AEW, move aside. Pick a different day, pick a different time. I don't care what you do. Get out of the way. And Tony Khan at first held steadfast. He said, no, we're going to take a hit, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot of bit. We're not just pushing aside for you just because you said so. And BC said, no matter what, you have to hold your ground. You're going to take a hit, absolutely. But you cannot on the first day of school, because this is the first time that the main roster is going literally head to head with AEW. This isn't just NXT anymore. So on the first day of school, you cannot give the school bully your lunch money, because it won't end there. So Tony Khan had to hold court on this one. He had to stay steadfast. And I was proud of him, because I know it's business and I know the hit that'll take. But I know in the long run, this decision will prove to be the right one. In the long run, it is going to help him extraordinarily if he remains steadfast and goes head to head. All you got to do, BC said, is produce the better show. And over time, if you keep doing that, if they want to keep doing this BS and keep counter-programming you, over time, if you keep producing the better shows and you have the better surprises and you have the bigger moments, over time, man, people will take notice and things will change in your benefit and to their detriment. But that's not what happened. And over the course of the last 36 hours, just a couple of weeks away from All Out, Tony Khan has waved the white flag. And Tony Khan has stepped aside for WWE, and he is moving the time. And at one point, Tony Khan said that AEW was the challenger brand to WWE. You guys remember that? That was a quote. Not only are they competition, they're the challenger brand. This move just proved they're not a challenger brand. They're an appetizer brand. They're the show that goes on before the show. They're the meal that goes on before the main course. That's that little meal you have before you get to the main course. And AEW, Tony Khan, just told you that. I'm going to talk all about this, what it means, how you can watch it. Tony's even offering a discount. And I know, basically, it's business, man. It's business. Coming out of New York City, please don't tell me about business. Business, if you want to do it correctly, most likely you want it to be long-term business, right? You want to be around for a while. These are the decisions that'll help you do such. This was monumental, this decision. And it does not paint AEW in a good light. We'll talk all about it. I got a packed, jacked, stacked show for you guys today, amped up the 4th of September. Thursday, the 4th of September of the year 2025. We're going to talk all about this, guys. That's just your cold open teaser. We're also going to we have another big discussion. I told you, this is a packed show, man. We're going to talk AJ Lee. There are some fans that are no-selling AJ Lee's return Friday on SmackDown in Chicago. That's at least what we believe. There's no other way they can go. You can't parade Bayley out there. Right? You're not bringing in Eva Marie. You're not plucking Sunny from prison and debuting her in Chicago to tag team with CM Punk at WrestlePalooza. No, it's got to be AJ Lee. We all know that. There's no alternative. It's too big now. But there are some fans that are no-selling AJ's return. They're shocked that this many people care about AJ Lee, or that this is such a big headline. Now, maybe they're too young. They don't remember how impactful AJ was to this industry. Maybe they were around and old enough back then and they just forgot how impactful AJ was. Maybe they just never actually did care about AJ Lee, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. But don't be shocked that people are actually excited and looking forward to AJ's return. And if you need reasons why, BC is going to give you plenty of them in this very amped up show. You're going to be reminded just how massive AJ Lee was in less than 5 years. She was more impactful than most wrestlers in a 30-plus year career. AJ did it in less than 5 and then walked away on her own accord. And wait till you hear what she accomplished in less than 5 years. And I'm not just talking title victories that some writers gave her, she'll win the title. Oh, that made her amazing. No. Way beyond that. We'll talk all about it. And if we have time, the Rhea Ripley Uber situation. We'll talk that. Yeah, Rhea Ripley was, where are they? Like France, I think they were, correct? And she was trying to catch an Uber. I don't know what Rhea Ripley is doing catching an Uber. These are superstars on tour. There's not a better means of transportation. But Rhea was trying to catch an Uber, I guess. That's got to be an awkward situation. Are you Terry? Yeah, Demetri. Aren't you Rhea? I wonder if she goes by Rhea or Demetri on her Uber. Right? Are you picking up Rhea Ripley? So Rhea Ripley's trying to catch an Uber. And a bunch of fans are like, yeah, Rhea, can I get a picture? And they're trying to shove each other out of the way so they can get a picture with Rhea or say hello to Rhea. And Rhea does what she always does, goes on social and starts complaining about it. And she's just miserable with fans. And I'm not saying it's not justified most of the time. These pro wrestlers, they can't stand it when you're a little pushy at the airports, when they're eating a meal at a restaurant. I get it. You know, space, learn it and provide it. So I totally understand. But, I mean, you cannot possibly spend 60% of your career miserable at fans, which is what Rhea does. And at what point do you got to find a new career then? Because that's a big part of being a WWE superstar. Fans are going to try to get your autograph and they want to say hey. And if you're waiting for an Uber, they're probably going to come over and go, hey, can I get a picture? And then other fans, so they're going to try to push each other out of the way because they know your time's limited. So they're trying to quickly just say hello and get the picture. And I know it's not ideal. But you're a WWE superstar on tour and you're trying to catch an Uber. What do you think? Nobody's coming over to say what's up and try to snap a shot? So Rhea Ripley is complaining, and that's just what she does. We'll talk that and what Drake, the musician Drake, said about Rhea Ripley. That's creating a little bit of headlines. So hopefully we got time to talk about that story. But the AJ Lee story and fans kind of no-selling AJ's return, that takes precedent. And Tony Khan moving All Out, or at least the time of All Out, away from WrestlePalooza. Those stories are pretty much, that's going to take top billing in today's Amped Up. But we have to start the show off today, unfortunately, because this sucks to talk about, but it needs to be. It's SmackDown's rating that just came out. And BC tried to tell you it's an unacceptable number. And this has nothing to do with a taped show. Trust me, because like BC always tells you, when you're bad for so long, when a holiday comes through, or a national championship, or big sporting event, or a taped show, what do you think's going to happen to the number that was already drastically bad? It's going to disintegrate. And you can't blame the holiday or the championship game or the tape show for it. You have to blame the company for having the number as low as it already was. If the number was booming out and a holiday comes over or whatever, okay, you take a couple 100,000 viewer loss, No harm, no foul, you're still at 2.5, maybe 3 mil. Which even in today's cable or streaming climate, even today, pro wrestling, WWE should bare minimum be pulling 2.5 to 3.0. But last week they got a 1.2. One of the lowest in show history. And you guys know what they pulled this week? Tape show? If you're doing your job correctly, by the way, a tape show, people should enjoy what they're reading and want to see it. I say this all the time. It's the old WCW adage, right? Remember when Eric Bischoff told Tony Schiavone that Mankind was about to win the World Wrestling Federation Championship because that was a tape show on Monday Night Raw. And almost instantly, droves of fans went over to WWF's product because people wanted to see that. So even though you're a tape show, if you're putting together a really good show and people read it, they now want to see it. You guys probably, if you didn't see SmackDown, you know what happened. There was nothing that you would read and go, I need to see that. Instead, you read it and you go, thank goodness, it saved me 2 hours. You guys know what it pulled? A 1.1 rating, lowest in show history. For an upfront SmackDown show. For an upfront SmackDown show. Lowest in show history, 1.1. That's what I mean. If the number is already so low, you cannot afford a holiday anymore. You can't afford a national championship, a sporting event. You can't afford to have a tape show. Because what's next? We saw 1-2 last week. We saw 1-1 this week. What's next? You go to 1-0 and under. What we used to call TNA numbers, but now you call All Elite Wrestling or NXT numbers. Right? Everybody laughs when AEW gets 700 or 800,000 or NXT gets 700 or 800. Nowadays, I think they're both roughly 600 some odd. But everyone used to laugh. Well, what happens when the main roster of World Wrestling Entertainment's Blue Brand goes to 800,000-900,000? That's where we're headed. I've been trying to tell you guys this, man. Raising the red flag. Sounding the alarm. Most of you guys understand that, man, and we're all in this mission together to truly make pro wrestling great again. But there's a lot of fans, they come across content like this, and they're like, you're over-exaggerating a piece. It's all right. Because WWE is announcing record revenue, basically. And they're selling out arenas, basically, so it's fine. But what's happening this year, guys? They're not announcing record revenue anymore. They're no longer announcing sellouts. Look at all those towns in France. They weren't selling out. They were telling you they made good money. They raised the ticket prices 100%. They had a good crowd. Maybe more than the last time they were there. Maybe. They're not selling out around the world anymore like they used to. They're definitely not selling out consistently in the US. So that when they go there with a PPV and they have more people than last year, it's possible. We're still awaiting the actual city numbers. But I know that they're not selling out anymore. And the record revenue, don't get it twisted. It's because there's conglomerates that are willing to pay billions of dollars. Netflix is learning the hard way right now. Fox already learned, and they could not get rid of SmackDown fast enough. NBC Universal said no thank you. They took the discount on SmackDown, and now they're learning it's even worse than when they had Raw. Which is a lesson that Fox already learned. Netflix is learning it now, and ESPN is unfortunately the next that fell for Nick Khan's BS, paid WWE a lot of money, and is going to fall flat and not get anything on a return on investment. All this money's going to dry up. And when they turn around to try to get the last pennies out of their fans, there ain't going to be many left. A 1.1 rating for SmackDown. We talked about it for a couple, 2-3 years now that this is where they were headed. And the Red Brand ain't much better, guys. Domestically on Netflix, a 1.3 to a 1.4 is their high-end average. So their low end is still 1.2. That's less than when they were on cable. But we were told it's streaming. All the cool kids are streaming, especially Netflix, and now we can reach a 700 million viewership. Well, we're 698 plus. You can reach 700 million, but you're only getting 2.5 around the globe. 2.5 is their global viewership. Domestically, a 1.2 to a 1.5. 1.5 high end, 1.2 low end. Where is everybody? They're not watching your program. A 1.1, man. How sad is that? That you're about to see SmackDown go under a million. Now with AJ Lee's return, this is going to be the boost of boosts. I'm guessing you could see a several 100,000 come back. And again, not taped. So maybe it brings a little bit of suspense. You could catapult right back to a 1.5, maybe even a 1.6. Can they sustain that? This is the boost this show needed, AJ Lee. And they probably knew that. That's why they're doing this on Friday. It is Chicago, and they know the numbers are so damn drastically low. I had to do a triple take, even though I've been preparing you guys for that number, 1-1. I told you 1 flat and under is on the horizon if they continue to be this bad. And BC, like always, I didn't BS my audience. Everything I said comes to be true. Everything I prepared you guys for with this number, it's happening. It's because I use common sense logic and I put facts into it. It's called a trajectory. It's not rocket science to see that this was going to happen. AJ Lee is exactly the boost they need. We'll see how big the boost is early next week when the blue brand number comes out. But we had to start this amped up with that story because that is a massive story, guys. SmackDown just pulled in its lowest viewership of all time. So we're going to move on, and I want to stick with AJ Lee. We're talking about her boosting SmackDown's ratings this Friday. I want to talk about her return in general and how some fans are no-selling AJ Lee's return. They're shocked that fans are excited or looking forward to AJ's return, or they forgot just how important, impactful AJ was in the short time she was here over a decade ago. And if some fans are they're not fans of AJ Lee, or they're not excited, or they're not looking forward to it, that's totally fine. That's their prerogative. But it's something I'm noticing where they're shocked. How is this a big headline? Why is it a big headline? It's just AJ Lee. So BC is going to have to, it's a little bit of a history lesson, right? Class is in session. And BC will remind you of just how important AJ Lee is to the females that are wrestling today, but the product that you see today. And this isn't just about titles that somebody wrote down on AJ wins title. They go out there, do a scripted performance, and AJ hoists up a title, and we're supposed to talk about how she's a legend. No, this is beyond that. This is literally how she created a movement. Literally was the sole starter of a revolution. So what's BC talking about? AJ Lee, and again, maybe there are a lot of fans that are just too young and they don't even remember AJ Lee, don't know much about AJ Lee, so it's not a big deal. AJ Lee made her main roster debut in 2011. She retired in 2015. I want you to keep that in mind as I go over just some of the accolades that catapulted AJ Lee, but also started this revolution. 2011 to 2015 was her WWE career. Main roster debut 2011, retired in 2015. That's less than 5 years. And in that time, multiple time champion, absolutely, won a record-setting 406 days. Diva of the Year twice. That's when they were called divas, and I want you to remember that when I talk about a revolution that was started. She was the first one to speak out about how she didn't want to be looked at or called a diva. The first one to speak out against it. That's what starting a revolution is. You can easily say a lot of individuals started it, basically. It was the Bellas and it was Paige. No, the person that starts a revolution is the person that literally ignites a revolution. The first one to say this or do this. She was the one when she was winning these Divas Championships and becoming Diva of the Year twice in 2012 and 2014. Mind you, her career spanned less than 5 years on the main roster. And she was the Woman of the Year twice. Woman, not diva. They called her diva. She could have just accepted it, smiled, and said thank you. No, she said, you know what? My goal is to make sure that one day this is not called Diva of the Year. But she won it twice. In a plethora of massive storylines. Again, this is over a decade ago. Females in big storylines, they didn't go hand in hand. In fact, TV time for females was very minuscule. AJ Lee, in the short amount of time that she was in WWE, was in massive storylines. If you're too young to remember or recall, if you only knew, she was in storylines with Daniel Bryan, John Cena, CM Punk, Kane, and so many others. Hand in hand with Dolph Ziggler when Ziggler was hoisting up world titles. It didn't matter if she was a manager, assisting Dolph in a massive world championship hijack, cash in. It didn't matter if she was a wrestler herself hoisting up her own championships, or a general manager, one of the, if not the youngest general manager, one of. That's right, AJ Lee was a general manager. That's how massive AJ Lee was in the short amount of time she was there. That's the storylines that she was put into. That is how much Vince McMahon looked at AJ Lee and said, there's a lot of things that are special here. We need to utilize this. How many female general managers have there been? It's got to be less than a handful. I can only remember Vicky Guerrero. And maybe there was another one or two. But AJ Lee, at that time and how young she was, you didn't see anything like that. She was running the show. That's how important she was. But forget the titles. Forget the multiple-time Diva/Wrestler of the Year awards. Forget all the massive storylines with the top talent. Forget being a manager to world champions. Forget the general manager role, which is monumental. Forget it all. It's what she did outside of the ring when she literally ignited a revolution by herself. When she was winning those titles and holding those titles and those awards, she was advocating for women's wrestling. The proof is in the pudding. It's right there for anybody to go back into the annals of time and see for yourself. AJ Lee called out women not having enough airtime, not having enough screen time, pissed off that they were having 1, 2, 3 minute matches at best. And she didn't stop there. AJ would take it a step further, a few steps further, and start talking about women's pay in pro wrestling, more specifically in WWE. And how that is so far off track, even if you don't want to equal it to the dude's pay, that's one thing. That's a different conversation. But how it's nowhere near what they feel they're worth. It was AJ Lee that was calling it out, and specifically, you ready for this? Specifically, name drop Stephanie McMahon. Guys, this is when she's with the company. And she's calling out Stephanie McMahon, and they had a good relationship, mind you. But this is somebody that was not going to hide behind anything. She wasn't going to talk a big game behind the McMahon's back. She was going to literally have this conversation with the McMahon's part of it. To the point where Stephanie thanked AJ for her input. A lot of people were like, oh boy, that thank you is going to be followed with some harsh punishment. But I think AJ came back and actually won a championship after that. She didn't hide behind anything, man. She literally put the McMahons in the conversation. Talking about how we don't have... The whole give divas a chance, you guys remember that? Give the females a chance in WWE. Do you guys remember that? That was AJ that ignited it. It's hilarious when we talk the women's revolution. And the easy answer to make everybody happy is we're supposed to say it was everybody in that era. It was the Bellas. It was Paige, Caitlyn, everybody, basically. It was a whole, the locker room, basically. That's what it was. No, I'm not going to go with that facade. That's not what a revolution is. AJ did all the footwork. She said what needed to be said when nobody else did. She did what she did when nobody else would. She did what had to be done when nobody else wanted to be the first to do it. And then when AJ opened the floodgates, then everybody joined in, of course. So you could say they were a part of the revolution. Who started it was AJ. We all know that. Factually. So come full circle to 2025 after she's been gone for over a decade. What are you shocked about? If you're not looking forward to it, you're not happy about it, you're not excited about it, does nothing for you, doesn't move a needle, cool, that's your prerogative, man. But fuck, you're shocked? You're puzzled? You're scratching the dome piece going, I don't understand. What's there not to understand? And not to mention the polarization of AJ Lee. Being the wife of the polarized CM Punk, that's a whole nother story. But this is a female that shined brighter than most in this industry, and she did it in less than 5 years. Unheard of. And then she just gone for 10 years. Stayed in great shape. At any moment, she could come back and rock out, but she never did. That's polarizing. That's a big thing. And after all this time and all that she has accomplished in less than 5 years, she's coming back to whoop some ass on Becky Lynch that was just smacking the taste out of CM Punk's mouth, AJ's husband. We talk storylines. We talk about big moments. I mean, this has it all. If you're not on board with it, cool, as I said a couple of times already. But I hope I helped in terms of if you're wondering or shocked as to why fans are looking forward to this, or as to why AJ is a big name in the industry. Maybe you just didn't know a lot of this. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you just don't care. But now you know many do care. And this is Big Friday in Chicago. Let's move on. Let's talk Tony Khan. And again, if I have time, I'll talk some Rhea Ripley in a little bit. But AEW moving All Out to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And no longer, 7 or 8 p.m.? It was directly against WWE's WrestlePalooza. The Palooza of wrestling. Yes. Silly name. I love Paul Heyman. Old school ECW. Love the pay-per-view names back in the day like Barely Legal. WrestlePalooza was never one of my favorite ones. It was always silly. It just sounds silly. But it is what it is, man. WrestleMania, cool. WrestlePalooza, not so much. But it is. It's a palooza of wrestling, whether you like the name or not. I guess it's a step above Great Balls of Fire. I still think this was a Vince McMahon idea, right? I don't know if he knew it was an old ECW name or not, but I think this was just a good idea for Vince. He's sitting around the dinner table with Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he's like, it's got to be WrestlePalooza. You hear me, doofus son-in-law, WrestlePalooza. The doofus son-in-law is just trying to get more... He's just trying to get more mashed potatoes. He's like, yes, father-in-law, it'll be WrestlePalooza. But AEW, in all seriousness, AEW moved, man. Tony Khan moved his event. That's monumental. Just a few days ago, I was praising Tony Khan for standing his ground, and everybody was like, damn, BC, this is awesome. We all knew he was going to take a hit financially, numbers-wise. It was a hit. But it's going to be anyway. WWE is putting their product on the same day no matter what. Tony Khan's taking a hit. So you could take it one of two ways. You could take it right on the chin, go down swinging. Or you literally hand over your lunch money to the bully and step aside. I was so proud of Tony Khan. And he's got the money. He can take this hit. Father is a billionaire. Of course he can take this hit. This was more important. If you want to legitimize yourself as a pro wrestling top company, this is where you stand your ground and you produce the better show. I said that in the upload I just put up a few days ago. I said, this is where, okay, you're going to take a hit up front. A lot of people are going to be getting that WrestlePalooza, but you're still going to have your base. And if you put together your best card and you have some surprises, you're going to get some people to actually flock over. But more importantly, when it's all said and done, they'll be talking about your show because it was A, better, B, you had the better surprises, C, you had the biggest moment of the night. I don't know what that is. That's for Tony Khan to decide. Maybe you have to shell out a lot of money. Maybe the glass shattered. Maybe you have a Steve Austin and you had to pay a lot of money. Maybe. That's business. It's ruthless. Imagine that when it's all said and done. Steve Austin shows up in an AEW ring because Tony Khan gave him a boatload of cash. Steve Austin's a businessman. I'm just giving you one example, by the way. One example of how you could steal the night. And going forward, you make at least WWE think twice. Shit, remember last time we tried to do this? Our big ESPN debut and they brought out Steve Austin? Or some big monumental moment that's for Tony Khan to have fun and come up with a way to steal the headlines. You may have get beat in the numbers financially, of course. The big bad bully was coming along to steal the lunch money. Whether you give it to them or they beat on you and take it, here comes WWE. But man, what if you steal the headlines when it's all said and done? Oh, I wonder if everybody's talking about AEW when it's all said and done. So I said that in that upload a few days ago. I said, yeah, you're going to take a hit financially and this, that, and the other thing. But you're going to win so much more in the long run if you stand your ground and put out your best show. Come up with some fun surprises. Make sure you have the biggest moment of the night. Have fun with this. Instead, I put up that upload and everything happened in reverse. WWE came up with bigger moments from the jump and bigger surprises. Instead of just resting on Brock Lesnar, they said, we're going to bring back AJ motherfucking Lee. They were not resting. WWE's having fun with this. WWE's like, how can we make WrestlePalooza? Let's bring in AJ Lee. They're probably not going to stop there. They're probably going to think of more surprises. And what does Tony Khan do? We're gonna move. We're just going to move. We're going to go to 3:00. We're going to be the appetizer to the main course. We're just going to step aside because we're going to get steamrolled here, man. But that's not what he said. He has said, and I quote, we are competition to WWE. He said, and I quote, we are the challenger brand. So when Helmsley and Nick Khan come over to bully him on the first day of school, and here comes Tony with his backpack, and Shad Khan, his daddy, drops him off, and he's walking, he's pushing up his glasses, he's got his backpack, and he's about to enter the school, but here's the bullies. Nick Khan and Triple H, Paul Levesque, McMahon, Hunter Hearst, Helmsley. And they say, you're not getting in here until you give us your lunch money. And Tony Khan goes, okay, and he gives all the change drops on the concrete, on the sidewalk, and he's trying to pick up every coin, and they're still pushing Tony Khan anyway. What happened to being a challenger? If you're a challenger and they challenged you head on and you just moved, this is what Tony said. Tony said that. And then he just moves. You're not a challenger brand. You're an appetizer brand. We have plenty of those. We were hoping AEW was more than an appetizer brand. An appetizer brand is the show before the show. It's like when WrestleMania weekend comes along, right? And you have all these like brands, all these companies show up in the same city. because they're going to put on shows a couple of days before, maybe the night before, or earlier in the day of WrestleMania. But none of them will go toe-to-toe. I call them appetizer brands, appetizer companies. This was the chance for Tony Khan to show the world. No, they're going to stand their ground and they're going to produce the better show. Instead, Tony Khan's going at 3 p.m. and now pro wrestling fans, if you do want to catch both, you got to watch nearly 8 hours of wrestling straight. There's no break. It's 3 p.m. to about 7:30. His always run just over 4 hours. And then WWE hits the airwaves around 7 or 8. It's the Palooza, so you're not going to get a 2.5 hour backlash. This is at least going to go 3 hours. So bare minimum, you're at 7.5 to 8 hours consecutive. On top of that, you'll have to pay bare minimum $40 for AEW, $30 for WWE. Because they're offering a discount. They're offering a discount. If you order on HBO Max, you'll get a $10 discount and it'll be $39.99. So you got to pay $40 up front. If you don't have the whole HBO thing, you're paying the upfront $50. And then you'll have to pay $30 immediately after to catch WWE's WrestlePalooza. Is it $30 or $40? Whatever. Point is, you're $70, $80 bare minimum if you want to catch both. And you have to watch 8 hours bare minimum of consecutive pro wrestling. That is what Tony Khan is having the fans do now by going on at 3 p.m. I was all right, man. I have 2 big screens. I'm ready to watch both, and I'm ready to go, oh, yeah, here we go, man. This is better than that. They are crushing them. Ooh, that was better than that. And you're discounting anyway, man. You're discounting. You're putting down a $10 discount to HBO Max. So you're giving yourself a financial hit in hoping that that's going to make people come. You're still $10 more than WWE's Palooza. It's bad enough you got to spend your nighttime watching, but now everyone's got to spend their daytime. Instead of owning the night, WWE brought in AJ Lee. WWE said, no, we're going to have the bigger surprises. We're going to have the biggest moment. You can't do this, man. And I know everyone's going to be going, oh, it's business. It's a business. They were going to get crushed. Then why wasn't this announced when they announced it a while back, this whole WrestlePalooza, right? Tony Khan could have right there said, oh, hold up. Instead, he's only given the crowd that's showing up 2 weeks notice that it's going to 3 p.m. Tony, instantly knew he was going to take a hit, but it means much more if you stand your ground to the bully. You can't buckle. Not on the first day of school, which is what this is. This is the first day the main roster is going head-to-head with AEW. And AEW completely threw the lunch money on the ground and ran away. The white flag, they ran. They threw the white flag. They didn't wave it. They threw it with the lunch money and they ran away. We'll be on at 3. We want nothing to do with you. It's about business, basically. What are you talking about? They're going to get crushed no matter what. Their best chance is to go head-to-head and produce the better show with the best surprises and the biggest moment. That's a winning formula. This is not a winning formula. This makes them look so secondary, thirdary, weak, appetizery. You're the salad before the steak. You just told the wrestling world, you're the salad, WWE's the steak. This is a horrible call. How much you think they're making financially when this is all said and done? You think this is moving Shad Khan's bank account? Do you think AEW's existence falls upon if they lose an extra $100,000 here or $1 million? Do you think this hinders this? Of course not. Tony Khan will tell you that. They should have stood their ground because now when the bully gets the lunch money that easily, They're going to want that lunch money on day 2 and going forward. You think that's it now? WWE's going to see how easily Tony Khan rolled over and waved the white flag and then ran. They're going to do it again. This is too easy. Oh, isn't that adorable? One of your biggest events of the year. You picked a day and a nice primetime slot, and we just kicked your ass right out of it before you even stepped foot in the building. We booted you from your time slot. That is sad. They got strong-armed. They got DOS booted. Tony got his lunch money taken. He trying to offer discounts at 3 p.m. Man, I don't know how you recover from this. It's already just the optics are so bad. Turn on a Dynamite. You saw Dynamite last night? How sad was that? The crowd just sitting there hoping to enjoy pro wrestling. Mercedes Moné is going nearly 20 minutes with Alex Windsor. Is that her name? Nearly 20 minutes, and she barely squeaks by with another roll-up. That's what you do with Mercedes. And then you wonder why people don't care about Mercedes if she has 100 titles. I tried to defend Mercedes all the time. I can't even defend this BS. I said recently, I can't defend this if they're constantly putting somebody who's got all these titles, is supposed to be the best in the world, but she wins every match with a roll-up. She barely squeaks by in every match. Which is it? She's the best? And she's hitting bank statements and she's got that submission locked in and tapping people out? Or is she just squeaking by every match with a fruit roll-up? That's what we saw in the first half an hour of Dynamite. In front of a crowd of 36 people. Basically. Because it certainly doesn't have vibes of the ECW 2300 arena. You remember those raucous crowds, and then you see that last night. And I don't blame them. There's nothing special when you watch on a Wednesday night. There's nothing special to this. It's just another wrestling brand. And then you wonder why they're stuck between 600,000 and 700,000 viewers. What are you? Why should people care and need to tune in the next week? They're doing nothing different. They just say, we're better wrestling. What does that mean? Wrestling is scripted. It's predetermined. We're past the era of watching flips and dives and acting like this is real competition and we need to see who the better one is over the worst one. No, it's about storylines and larger-than-life characters. Situations, stories, and moments that captivate us, leave us at the edge of our seats with our jaws dropped. That's pro wrestling. So people already don't care about AEW. Their diehard base has said it's been way better in the past, and they have so many issues today. And they think moving their pay-per-view so WWE can boot them out of the way and have their own time, they think this is going to help? Optics are horrible. You would have been much more suited, much more positioned to be looked at in a better light if you just went head-to-head with them and just produced a better show. Because AEW pay-per-views are usually really good. Even with Brock Lesnar, AJ Lee. You could bring back the British Bulldog, Randy Savage, and the Ultimate Warrior with Hulk Hogan from the Great Big Yonder. AEW produces some damn good pay-per-views. But when it's all said and done, it'll be easily forgotten because we're going right into WrestlePalooza now. It'll seem like AEW All Out was from 1925 by the time WrestlePalooza's done. You can claim this was all about business and to try to get a little extra buy rates and to try to get some more financials, basically. They knew they were going to get crushed. It's a good business decision, basically. I say no, it wasn't. Because long term, this was bad business. Then we talked some Rhea Ripley. Man, Tony Khan waving that white flag. I mean, I literally had to do a double take on that story. I could not believe, because I was praising this. I was so happy that because I knew they saw the long-term vision of this, man. No matter what happens, we take this on as a company. They brought this to us. We got to take the hit, but we go in swinging. And instead, they just wave the towel and they're like, we're going on at 3, guys. We'll even offer a discount with our new HBO Max deal. It's like, that doesn't make fans that can't always catch AEW, because there's just not a need to. If there was a need, I'd make sure I'm watching every Wednesday, 8 to 10. There's not a need. And this move doesn't make fans feel like AEW is a true challenger brand. Or there's not a mystique behind AEW. At a time where pro wrestling is hurting, even the biggest juggernaut like WWE is hurting in the numbers. It's going to make a lot less people want to tune into other companies like TNA and AEW or any other bingo hall company. I cannot say that I'll be watching All Out on the 20th. I can't say that I want to watch 8 hours of pro wrestling. At this point, I don't want to eat a salad before I just want to jump into the steak dinner on the 20th of September. And I was hoping that was going to be with both. 2 steaks, man. Filet mignon and maybe some Wagyu. Wagyu's the better beef, but hey, sometimes that filet mignon, if cooked correctly, that filet mignon will take out the Wagyu. I don't need the salad. All right, we actually ran over the allotted time that I had for this amped up, but you know what? Screw it. The coffee's flowing, BC's rocking. I know my amplified unit is fully amplified, so we're going to talk this Rhea Ripley story real quick. And then I'll have you guys out and about on your Thursdays, man. Rock out, crush it, stay amplified. But for this story, Rhea Ripley was on this. I think they're still touring France, or were. It seems like they were on this tour since 2021. For 4 years, they've been on this tour, it seems like. But Rhea Ripley was trying to catch an Uber. I don't know why she tried. There's no better means of transportation for one of your big stars, Rhea Ripley. That's how these wrestlers are getting around, just ordering Ubers? Terry? Yeah, Rhea? And again, does she even go by Rhea, or is it Demetri? Isn't that her name? Demetri? Demetri? You look a lot like Rhea. But they're getting Ubers. So, of course, fans are sitting there trying to snap a picture, say hello, and then other fans are trying to push those fans out of the way so they can have the time. So it's not so much they're pushing Rhea. They're trying to, push each other, and then it's a frantic situation. And Rhea Ripley's a superstar. She's a celebrity. It's not like they're running up full speed and shoving Rhea Ripley into the Uber. But it's not an ideal situation, and I totally understand that. And there has to be space for these wrestlers. Just because they're seen publicly and they're celebrities doesn't mean that these fans have a right to be in their personal space. I totally get that. Space, learn it and provide it. I always say that. But Rhea Ripley is just on a crusade to just lash out at fans. And she's always willing to take to social to just rip fans. And she's just so miserable when it comes to fan experiences. It's wild. Just hear about this incident, and at first you're like, oh boy, what happened to Rhea? I heard that Rhea got checked up against the car, and no, you're Rhea freaking Ripley. That's what she always says, right? Rhea bloody Ripley. You're the star. How dare fans want my autograph or my picture to say hello before I jump into my Uber ride sharing? There has to be better protocol than this for Rhea. These are superstars. They're celebrities. So they have to be better than this, as do the fans. No question. No question. But the whole thing is just, this is what Rhea Ripley does, though. She puts herself in these positions and then just plays victim. Oh my God, the fans are so wild to me. They're so wild. They're rabid zombies. They're so mean. They're this, they're that, the other thing. They're the worst thing in the world. If the fans are so bad, find a different profession. I don't know what to tell you. But you cannot be miserable and always lashing out at the fans. You can't. Or find different find different ways. I'm trying to help Rhea because she's not going to be happy 5-10 years down the road if she's already this miserable. Because if you don't know, this is like the 80th time that Rhea Ripley has lashed out at fans. And most of it is not that big. A space issue, I get it. A lot of it's the airport and the same type of deal, trying to get the autograph. I get it. But there's a reason that most of these wrestlers, they don't lash out at all fans on social. Or they don't make it an even bigger deal. Because they know it's isolated. Or they take the situation into consideration. Or an environment. Rhea's got to find a better way. Because it's not helping her. The lashing out at fans, the constantly being miserable, clearly it's not helping her at all. She walks casually through all of these WWE fans from a different, that don't get to see WWE, but probably once every several years. And she's casually walking by and flips out that they're all trying to get a last second selfie. You can't be that shocked. Guys, I don't know. Nothing makes sense, right? It's stupidity. What do they say about stupidity? You can't fix it, and unfortunately, it seems like it's contagious.